Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something. You ever heard a pickup line so bad, so wrong, that you just wanted to call somebody's mama and ask, who raised this boy? I'm serious. Now listen, I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot, but there's some fellas out here and they're shot like they blindfolded, drunk, and facing the wrong direction. Pickup lines are meant to break the ice, spark a laugh, and maybe even open the door to a conversation. But when they're bad asterisk, really asterisk bad, they do the opposite. Instead of creating connection, they create discomfort, confusion, or worse, second-hand embarrassment. Bad pickup lines aren't just ineffective. They can instantly destroy any chance of making a good first impression. Imagine someone walking up to you and saying, "Are you from Tennessee? 'Cause you're the only 10 I see." Now, the first time that line was ever used, maybe decades ago, it might have been mildly clever. But now it's worn out. It's the kind of line that makes people roll their eyes, not fall in love. And the worst part is, when someone uses a line like that, it often feels more like they're performing a skit than trying to start a genuine conversation. It signals that they're not really interested in asterisk you asterisk. They're just tossing out recycled material, hoping something sticks. What makes a pickup line bad isn't just that it's corny or old, it's that it lacks sincerity. It feels like a trick or a gimmick instead of a respectful approach. Think about it. Would you trust someone who starts a conversation with a magic trick? Are you a magician because whenever I look at you, everyone else disappears? That might be cute in a sitcom, but in real life, it comes off as forced and disconnected. It's like showing up to a job interview with a knock joke. It doesn't match the situation or the tone you need to set. Another reason bad pickup lines fail is because they often ignore context. They can feel invasive, objectifying, or tone deaf. Lines like "you must be tired because you've been running through my mind all day" might sound harmless, but they can easily feel weird or even creepy when delivered without a natural vibe or mutual interest. The delivery rarely lands the way people hope it will. Instead of laughing or smiling, the other person is often left wondering, what just happened? Or why is this person talking to me like we're in a bad romantic comedy? The worst part is, bad pickup lines don't just hurt your chances. They can actively damage your reputation. If someone feels uncomfortable or disrespected, they're likely to share that experience with others. What could have been a positive encounter ends up being a story about that guy or that girl who tried way too hard and came off all wrong. Ultimately, the problem with bad pickup lines is that they reflect more effort on being clever than being real. They're shortcuts, but genuine connection doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from presence, listening, and authenticity. No one falls for a line. People fall for people. So when your first words sound like they came from a joke book instead of your heart, don't be surprised if the only thing you catch is silence. In the world of human connection, authenticity stands tall above all else. When meeting someone for the first time, especially in a romantic context, what you say doesn't need to be clever, rehearsed, or flashy. It just needs to be asterisk real asterisk. A simple "Hi, how are you?" or "I just wanted to come over and say hello" can go much further than a complicated pickup line that sounds like it came off the back of a candy wrapper. Why? Because sincerity is rare, and people can sense it instantly. Most pickup lines are built on an attempt to impress. The problem with that is, trying too hard to impress someone right away often has the opposite effect. It puts up a wall between two people rather than creating a bridge. It makes the interaction feel like a performance rather than a moment of genuine interest. In contrast, a calm, honest approach communicates confidence, clarity, and emotional maturity. You're not trying to sell yourself. You're simply showing up as you are. That alone is powerful. What people really want, deep down, is to feel seen and respected. A rehearsed pickup line often misses that entirely. It treats the other person like a target, not an individual, but starting a conversation with authenticity means treating that moment, and the person you're speaking to, with intention. It shows that you're present, grounded, and interested in them, not just in scoring a moment of attention. There's something universally attractive about someone who is comfortable in their own skin. When you greet someone with a straightforward, "Hey, I saw you and just had to introduce myself," you're showing vulnerability in a healthy way. You're not hiding behind jokes or exaggerated charm. You're expressing a genuine desire to connect. That honesty often disarms people in the best way because it feels rare and refreshing. Another benefit of being authentic is that it builds trust from the very beginning. If your first words are truthful and grounded, the other person has no reason to question your motives. They may not always be interested in a deeper conversation or relationship, but they'll likely respect how you carried yourself. And in the long run, your reputation will reflect that consistency. In the age of filters, DMs, and swipe culture, real face-to-face connection stands out more than ever. So when someone approaches you without a gimmick, it makes an impression. They're not reciting a line they read online. They're just showing up, being themselves, and trusting that's enough. And often it is. Trying to be smooth is exhausting. Trying to be real is liberating. When you stop focusing on the perfect line and start focusing on being present, the whole interaction changes. You're not chasing a reaction. You're offering a conversation. And that's where true chemistry begins. No script, no performance, just two people talking honestly. That's how real connections are born. Confidence is one of the most attractive traits a person can bring into any interaction, especially when trying to connect with someone for the first time. The truth is, you don't need a clever line or a polished routine to spark interest. You need to show up with confidence in who you are. People often think they need to be witty or charming to make an impression, but in reality, confidence does the heavy lifting. Even the simplest words can have a big impact when delivered with genuine self-assurance. A confident person doesn't rely on a gimmick. They trust that their presence, their tone, and their intention will speak for themselves. Think about it. Someone can say the most ordinary thing, "Hi, I just wanted to meet you." And if they say it with calm energy, eye contact, and a relaxed smile, it suddenly feels meaningful. Why? Because confidence communicates that you're comfortable with yourself and not afraid to be vulnerable in the moment. On the flip side, people who use elaborate pickup lines often come across as nervous or insecure, even if that's not what they intend. They might be hiding behind humor or scripted lines to cover up fear of rejection, but that nervous energy tends to show. The delivery becomes shaky or forced, and the other person picks up on that. Confidence, however, comes from accepting the possibility of rejection but choosing to try anyway, without pretending to be someone you're not. It's important to understand that confidence isn't about being loud, pushy, or overly assertive. It's not about bragging or dominating the conversation. Real confidence is quiet and grounded. It's about walking up to someone with respect, speaking clearly, and showing that you're at peace with whatever outcome comes next. That's the kind of energy that puts others at ease and builds real interest. Confidence also signals emotional intelligence. When someone approaches with self-assuredness, it tells the other person, I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table, and I'm not here to convince or impress. I'm here to connect. That mindset changes the entire tone of the interaction. It removes pressure and invites a genuine exchange rather than a performance. What's more, confidence is memorable. Long after the conversation ends, people often forget the exact words you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. If your presence made them feel calm, seen, or respected, they're far more likely to remember and appreciate the interaction. That lasting impression isn't created by clever lines. It's created by the quiet strength of confidence. In the end, people aren't drawn to perfection. They're drawn to authenticity and calm self-belief. You don't need to be the funniest, smartest, or most charismatic person in the room. You just need to be comfortable in your own skin. Speak from a real place, hold your head high, and let your energy say what words can't. Confidence makes even the simplest sentence sound powerful. Some things just have an expiration date, and pickup lines are no exception. What may have once seemed clever or charming in a different era can now come across as lazy, outdated, or downright awkward. Lines like, "Are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see," or "Did it hurt when you fell from heaven?" have been around for so long that they've lost all meaning. At this point, using them says more about your lack of originality than your interest in the person you're speaking to. These lines are so overused that they've become punchlines rather than icebreakers. Instead of making someone feel special or flattered, they often make the person cringe or laugh asterisk at asterisk you, not asterisk with asterisk you. The reason they don't work anymore is because they're no longer surprising or sincere. When someone hears a line they've already heard 100 times, it doesn't feel like a unique moment. It feels like they're just another stop in a long string of rehearsed attempts. Beyond just being tired, these lines often feel disconnected from the person using them. You could teach a parrot to say, "Is your name Google?" because you've got everything I've been searching for. But that doesn't mean the parrot has any charm. A human using the same line with no real context or emotion doesn't fare much better. It's not that humor is a bad thing. Humor can absolutely open doors. But recycled jokes with no personal touch fall flat. They don't create connection, they create distance. There's also the issue of tone and intent. Many old-school pickup lines come off as objectifying or patronizing, even if they weren't meant that way. Compliments based purely on appearance, especially ones framed in exaggerated metaphors, can make people feel like they're being sized up rather than approached respectfully. Lines like, "If I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put you and I together," may sound cute to some, but to many, they sound like lines from a bad dating app ad. They don't feel earned or sincere. They feel copy-pasted. Part of building a connection is showing that you've put thought and intention into your approach. If your first words to someone feel like a joke they've already heard at parties or online, it sets the wrong tone. It implies that you're looking for a reaction, not a relationship, or at least not a meaningful conversation. Retiring these outdated lines isn't about being overly serious or dull. It's about evolving the way we communicate. The world has changed, and so have expectations around dating, respect, and authenticity. People appreciate effort, and nothing says "I didn't try" like reaching for the same dusty line everyone else has used. So if you want to stand out, skip the cliche, speak from the moment, comment on something real, ask a thoughtful question, or just say, "Hi, I wanted to meet you." It may not be flashy, but it's fresh. And most importantly, it's asterisk you asterisk. And that's what makes it work. In the pursuit of romantic connection, one of the most common mistakes people make is trying to become a character rather than showing up as themselves. They slip into a persona, borrowing lines, mimicking behaviors, or exaggerating traits in hopes of being seen as charming or desirable. But in doing so, they lose the very thing that could set them apart. Authenticity. People don't want to date a script or a performance. They want to connect with a real person, flaws and all. When someone tries too hard to be smooth, it usually shows. Whether it's overly rehearsed compliments, forced humor, or dramatic gestures, it rarely comes across as natural. Instead, it feels artificial, like they're acting out a scene from a rom-com they watched the night before. And while movies may make those lines look cute or endearing, real life doesn't come with background music or editing. In reality, forced charm often creates discomfort rather than interest. The truth is, you don't need to be a comedian, poet, or suave heartthrob to start a meaningful conversation. You just need to be genuine. Being yourself means showing up with the personality, quirks, and tone that make you unique. It means speaking the way you actually speak, laughing when something's funny to asterisk you asterisk, and asking questions you're truly curious about, not the ones you think you're supposed to ask. There's incredible value in letting someone see the real you from the start. It sets the tone for honesty, openness, and mutual respect. If you pretend to be someone you're not just to get your foot in the door, eventually you'll either have to keep up the act, which is exhausting, or reveal that the person they were attracted to doesn't really exist. Either way, that's not a strong foundation for any relationship. What's more, authenticity builds confidence over time. When you stop trying to perform and just focus on being present, you become more comfortable in your own skin. And that comfort translates to the people around you. They can feel when someone is grounded and at ease, and it puts them at ease too. That sense of calm and realness is often more attractive than any joke, compliment, or line ever could be. There's also something deeply refreshing about someone who's not trying to be impressive, but simply honest. In a world full of filters, highlight reels, and pretense, realness stands out. When you speak from the heart, people listen differently. You create space for real conversation, shared laughter, and even vulnerability. That's where actual chemistry lives, not in the perfect delivery of a one-liner, but in the messy, honest exchange between two people who are being real with each other. So don't fall into the trap of becoming a character in your own love story. Be the real you, the version that laughs a little too loud or stumbles over words now and then. Because that version, that's the one someone out there is looking for. In the end, what truly matters in any first interaction isn't how clever your words are, but how real your connection feels. Clever pickup lines might get a laugh, or at least an eye roll, but they rarely open the door to something meaningful. That's because real relationships are built on sincerity, trust, and emotional resonance, not gimmicks. A thoughtful, honest exchange will always go further than the most well-rehearsed one-liner. When someone leads with a pickup line, they're usually aiming to get a reaction. Maybe it's a laugh, a smile, or just attention. But a reaction isn't the same as a connection. Reactions are fleeting, surface-level responses. Connections go deeper. They involve understanding, interest, and mutual presence. Starting a conversation by simply being curious about the other person or genuinely complimenting something unique about them, often leads to more meaningful dialogue than any line you can pull from the internet. The truth is, we live in a world where most people are constantly being talked at. Social media ads and even some social interactions are filled with noise and performance. So when someone comes along who doesn't try to sell themselves or put on a show, it stands out. That kind of approach feels human. It makes the other person feel like they're being spoken to, not targeted. What's often misunderstood is that you don't need to come up with something perfect to say in order to make a moment matter. Some of the best connections begin with something as simple as, "Hi, I saw you and just wanted to say hello." When that's delivered with genuine interest, it can be incredibly disarming. There's no pressure, no gimmick, just a person choosing to be open and kind. That kind of interaction sets a tone of respect and maturity, which is a strong foundation for whatever comes next. Another important reason to choose connection over cleverness is sustainability. If your relationship begins with a show, you'll feel the need to keep performing. But if it begins with honesty, you'll build something real from the start. Relationships that grow out of authenticity tend to last longer because both people are being themselves, not versions of who they think they should be to win each other over. Also, emotional safety plays a huge role here. When someone feels like you're being authentic, they're more likely to open up in return. Vulnerability feeds connection, and connection is what people really crave, not just attention or flattery. A person may forget a cheesy line the moment you walk away, but they'll remember how you made them feel. If they felt heard, respected, or truly seen in those first few moments, that impression lasts. So the next time you're tempted to rely on a clever line, take a breath and speak from the heart. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present because in the game of love, authenticity wins every time.